to everyone watching live. Thank you.
No one.
To-
Guess who is back? I'm really sad. These pants have already like stretched out, and I've only worn them twice.
Well, if there are people that are watching us right now, we're waiting for Brittany to put shoes on. Chris is talking about his pants. It's about normal day for us
The
here.
neighbors.
Whiskey and Wisdom. Oh, content creation.
Yeah, that's yours. Come on up.
Come join us. Don't kick over the computer.
I can't tell you how long it's been since I put
Headphones
on my
on?
head. I don't even wear earbuds or
Not those wireless ones
I
that
don't wear those. Stay out of my
microwave
brain.
your head.
What are you talking about? Think wireless ones are gonna microwave your brain
They do. It's a fact.
They're reading your mind.
That's it.
more so than my.
Than they
cell
already
phone.
were.
Yeah, we need to do this more often, so we can just have like a goofball Chris session
Right.
where I just talk about all the different random things that I don't believe are true.
Well, when the three of
And
us,
I'll just argue them.
when we're
I'll be the
together, that's what
conspiracy
we do
theory.
anyway.
That's true.
Oh yeah.
Who knows where this conversation's gonna go today? Oh, I left my card with the questions.
You can go get it real quick.
Yeah.
I feel like I do need it.
Yeah. Someone asked us the other day, they're like, so what questions do you ask specifically? And I'm like,
Couldn't tell you.
I can tell you 2 questions that are guaranteed to be asked.
Right, and that's about it. Well, 3.
Okay.
Tell us about yourself.
No, that's a statement.
No.
Tell us about yourself is a statement, not a question.
Well, that's true. Yeah, you're telling them to tell us about themselves. That's okay. Good
Yeah,
point.
we're not doing any of that. We're just getting right into it, right?
Well, of course.
Welcome back to the Whiskey and Wisdom podcast, everybody. This is your co-host Tyler Yaw, and today I'm with,
Chris Kellum, as usual.
and I would say our special guest, but she's actually our host for today because she is the one in charge of asking questions. But our favorite host today is.
My name is Brittany Lineberry. I am a good friend of these guys, and we've all gone on our entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah, you can move the
Together.
mic
To me?
you. Yeah.
Yeah, move it any which way you want.
Oh, I'm gonna
Yeah,
relax.
get comfortable.
Yeah.
We're gonna be here a while,
Good.
Okay. Not that long, but like.
60 minutes.
Yeah, the three of us have gone on our little journeys together. We've kind of encouraged each other and grown. And I launched my photography business a few years back, and got into the real estate business to support my husband on the construction side of things. And essentially, the three of us have stayed friends for a long time and
Yeah.
have grown together. So I have noticed on the podcast that you ask everybody else all the questions, and you have some things to say about yourself, but I know you guys like through and through, and I feel like there's a lot about you both that the world needs to hear.
I feel like you're the perfect one to do it because you know the deeper questions to ask about us too, as opposed to
yes.
just bringing someone else on.
I'm not taking it easy today.
Oh, no.
No.
Well,
Well, before we get started, we do have to introduce our cocktail of the month that has been so generously been provided by Alcove yet again, the sister company of Azalea Station, which is where we're sitting at today. But this month, we are drinking the Bourbon Berry Shrub. So, probably asking what in the heck is in this thing?
Yes.
Well, it's going to be Old Forester Bourbon, Triple Berry Shrub, Sage Simple Syrup, and lemon juice.
That's my kind of drink.
Yeah. So pretty much
Let's have
everything
at it.
that you like.
Did you already try it?
Not
No.
yet.
Okay.
We always do the first one like as a we don't
Cheers.
know. Cheerio.
Cheers, friends. Can't reach you.
That's actually really good. Yeah, that's
I
good.
love it.
That's not what I was expecting.
No, I didn't know what to expect, but it wasn't that. But it's actually better than what I was expecting it
And
to be.
it's not too sweet.
Yes.
You definitely get the lemon.
Yeah,
I love lemon.
there's almost like this is gonna sound bad without actually tasting it, but it tastes like a little bit of vinegar to it that kind of cuts down on like the sweetness.
That's
Try
what
that.
she said. There's a little bit of like almost balsamic. Because like when you do a
Oh,
like
yeah,
a
yeah.
shrub like drink wise, which we'll ask. one
That's a
our
type of
bartenders.
drink? A shrub?
Well, shrub is what you use inside a drink. It's kind of like a mixer.
Yeah,
never heard of
so there's a bunch of different berries that have been fermented to make this shrub to put in here.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like you.
It is me. Anything with berries and lemons. I'm good with that.
Bourbon.
If we could name this cocktail, would it be the Brittany?
No. Because it's missing ginger.
Ah.
You could add it.
Yeah. Little dash.
Yeah.
Then maybe so. That's good. I like it.
Good.
I'll tell you guys. I can count only for wellness reasons on less than my two hands how many drinks I've had in the last 12 months.
Oh yeah. I have greatly cut back too
Yeah.
on the alcohol consumption just for multiple different reasons.
Yeah. I mean, there's lots of reasons to do that, but I will say too, in my immediate social sphere, the number of people who have just pulled back on their consumption or gone just completely without for
Yeah.
more than several months. I know a lot of people, and it's just like my sharpness,
Oh yeah.
like my sleep, my metabolism, just my wellness. Big difference. But I mean, that
Yeah. You don't realize there's like a brain fog that you have until you don't have
until
it
you're
anymore.
clear.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm so sharp these days. Just the way I think about things is oh yeah, everybody should try it.
See, I still consume the same amount of drinks, but they're not all alcoholic. So like we'll go out to the bar and we'll have 2 or 3 drinks. So I'll have 1 or 2 that'll have alcohol, and the last one or like the second one will be like an NA, just to kind of mix it up.
So what do you get?
Just surprise all usually.
Like some ginger ale, throw a lime in there.
Oh no, I go to bars that actually make like NA beverages. Just because I feel like it allows you to stay a part of the group. Like if your friends are out, like it sometimes feel weird when you're like, oh hey. I mean, my friends wouldn't care, but I like that experience of sitting down. And also, I feel like if you go to a good bar, the bartenders can make an NA, or they have something on their menu that's not just boring. Like, hey, this is mixer and some soda water. Like, here's like that to me is a little boring.
Yeah, there's something special about having like the cocktail experience too. Because I mean, like at our age, we're not going to like dive bars and getting wasted anymore. You know, it's like actually going out for the experience of like being with friends and having a good drink. So being able to go to those same type of well-established cocktail bars that can make those same style of cocktails without the alcohol in it, I think it's just a win-win.
Not just that too. The elixir, adaptogen, the culture for that, and the branding for that has been like on point for the past couple of years. So I feel
Right.
like there's this wave of good, healthy,
Yeah.
habits around that. That's kind
There's
of.
NA bars that are opening.
Are any here in
No.
Wilmington? One.
What?
Who's that?
I think it's called Moxie or something like that.
Oh, I love that.
okay.
Can we go? We should go.
We should
Okay.
definitely go.
That'd be fun.
Next on
Why
the
not?
list.
Oh, shout out to them. I want to hear more about this.
Yeah.
You want to get into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Like I said before, I know you both really well. I've seen your habits. I've seen you when you get frustrated. I've seen you when you're excited. I've seen you when you're motivated. I've seen you when you're like on a journey and headed towards something big. So one of the things that I think is special about you both individually is that you both are pretty opinionated people. Like you have made your mind up about certain things, and how you share it is different than how you share it. You know,
Yeah, very sure.
the way you express things is specific and unique to you both. But when it comes to your political views, your wellness, lifestyle, the views you have on business, finance, you have those strong opinions, and you are very tactful and careful how you share those things. Or there's some things you might hold close to your chest. But as community leaders and people who are now speaking out and people are listening to your voices and what you have to say. How do you find that balance between like how much do you share? How much do you hold close to your chest? And how can you feel impactful in the community with all of that in mind?
I know for me anyway, when we got the podcast started, it was all about sharing other people's stories.
Yeah.
So by me sitting here and just telling everyone what my opinion is on anything and everything that our guest brings up isn't really the goal of what I was trying to set out to anyway when we started this. So I think that's the biggest thing. I want people to share their stories. Of course, if someone says something completely that I disagree with, like I'll share like, oh, okay, this is my experience to where I came to something different. But I know a lot of people have listened to other big podcasts out there and they get frustrated when the host starts taking over with their ideas and thoughts and opinions. And I didn't want that to be this podcast. I wanted it to be definitely focused on the guest. I think Chris would agree with that too.
Oh, for sure. I think it's interesting because some people know my opinions because they've like chatted with me like offline and doing whatever. But like in general, my way of getting an opinion across would be to ask people to explain their opinion. Like, why did you think that? Like, how have you come to that position? And then questioning them so I can understand their position before I just automatically like, oh, you're wrong. You're doing this wrong. I think asking people those questions and kind of understanding how they got there is, I think, one of the best ways to round out and truly figure out what your actual opinion should be.
So do you encourage a healthy debate on the podcast, or would you rather just sit back and listen to what somebody has to say, as opposed to create that kind of dialogue?
I think the style of our podcast doesn't even really invite that much, to be honest. And I mean, we've talked about it before too, and other people have brought it to our attention. They're like, you know how much bigger your podcast would be if you would do like this, this, and this. And I was like, yeah,
They
but
want to stir
again,
the pot a little bit.
right? They're like, if
Yeah.
you just like got into like, how should we pay for the bridge in Wilmington, or like whatever big like news things going on in politics these days. And I was like, first of all, what's a big thing in politics have to do with anyone in our community and how we can help each other? It doesn't. How to pay for that bridge, it's nothing that we can do or what 99% of our guests can do. Who really cares? And I'd rather just share the experience of that guest. And like we've brought people on that own like gun dealerships and that do concealed carry stuff. So like there's people that come on that have like the quote unquote kind of like the political view on different things, but we're talking about their life, and it's really hard to argue with someone when they're talking about their own life.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't really invite it that much. I'm sure Chris gets these same pushbacks that I do. We bring people on that we disagree with and stuff, and we don't even really get into those topics.
Yeah.
And so like we brought on David Joyner. He's a Democrat who's on the city council. Right after his, we had on John Hennett, who's a Republican running for the New Hanover County commissioners. And we've had a bunch of libertarians on. And that's just because that's where I mostly lean, and no one ever hears the libertarian point.
Right.
And if I could find someone that's part of the Green Party or the Forward Party or the We the People Party, like if you're out there listening to this, like come on, because I'd love to have you guys on too.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's kind of like you're expressing that you're creating a safe space for these people to come on and share what's on their heart or on their mind without being directly challenged.
I feel like when you bring it to a debate, things get very heated because it's very hard for you to sit back and take what other people are saying towards you, not aggressively or like as an offense. Most of the times when people make a statement, you take it to heart and you're like, oh, hold on. Which I've seen a lot because, I mean, we've seen debates. There'll be a lot more of them going on over the next like 4 to 6 months. And I feel like this space isn't for debating. It's more for creating, like just to create a space for everyone to speak and learn who each person is as a genuine person. Like we were at the Michael Franti concert last night, and it's a whole different vibe because he's all like, hey, everyone's here. We're all just like, everyone's a person. Everyone's gone through trials and tribulations. And if we took away like the politicalness of it, we would all agree on a lot more things. Like, and that's what I think we bring to this is that despite the fact that like there's that 1% that we view is going to be different, there's like 99% of stuff that everyone agrees on. Like you agree that you love somebody else, you love your family, like you want to work to make some money, but if you could get away with not working and still make money, you would do it. Like,
Yeah. Just basic like human inhibitions and
Yeah.
desires that we all have.
Yeah, and I was gonna say in Wilmington, but really anywhere other than just New Hanover County, there's probably 99% of everything that we all want as human beings for ourselves. When you take politics out of it, are probably pretty darn similar. And I think that's what we really wanted to bring to this, is show how similar people are and how you can work with them, not to compete against them, but to kind of level each other up.
Yeah, I love that. So with all of that in mind, and especially removing politics and community standards out of the mix of everything, it kind of leads me right into my next question. Do you guys feel that the next generation will value community?
so I think there's different kinds of community. I don't know if like the next generation will value their local community as much as what like our forefathers did, because I mean, even back, gosh, 60 years ago seems like a long time, but like everyone did everything to support their community. Like you shopped locally, you got your hair cut, you like someone needed a babysitter, you worked with those people locally, and I think that community is what needs to grow, and I wish that the younger generation would see that. And I think if we like pulled back off of the internet a little bit, we could bring the community more into focus. But now everyone is like, oh, hey, my people. And I don't have anything wrong with it. I think your people are your people no matter where they are in the world. But I think we also should focus on like your local community, not just how many likes you'll get online.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what Chris was saying there too. And this might be the optimist of me, but I do believe there is going to be a point where there's going to be that straw that breaks the camel's back. So you're already going into like the McDonald's and fast food places and you're not interacting with anyone. Like you
Right.
walk in, you press a button on a screen, and then food gets delivered out to you. Like, and I'm sure we'll be on a robot soon enough. And a lot of drive-throughs are going AI now, so you're not even talking to people when you go through a drive-through anymore. There's
So
going to be
sad.
a point where people want that human interaction. And like I know that point has happened for me. Like I go out of my way to go into stores to buy things and not just get it off of Amazon. I know it drives Chris crazy sometimes. I know it drives my wife crazy a lot. That they're like, oh, just get that XLR cable you needed for the podcast thing and have it overnighted to you on Amazon. I'm like, I'd rather go to 4 different stores not knowing if they have it or not.
It's
until
a
I can
house
pick it up.
divided, though. So I feel like the next generation may or may not feel that because
I
it's
know.
not necessarily going to be bred. I don't want to say bred into them, but it's not an ingredient in their environment and atmosphere at that time that they're growing up in, like that really impressionable time,
Yeah.
unless we as parents really infuse that in.
Right.
And that's it's going to be hard
And
if
see-
that's important. And so I just don't know. I mean, this is me, but like I don't know what the future looks like, and if that's going to be as important going forward as it is right now. Like if the environment looks different, maybe having that the robots handle everything for us is just the
Oh,
way the life
gosh.
looks in the future. Like and if it is, then we can't really coach that out of them necessarily.
Yeah, I definitely think there's going to be I don't want to say a happy medium of it, but there's going to be a medium that happens where you're going to have to interact with people. Along with, there's going to be a lot more automation happening. AI's here, whether you like it or not. It's already in a
Yeah.
lot of the podcasts that we do.
Yeah.
And it's very inexpensive. It's really easy to use, and it's only going to get better. We've been using a software for basically the inception of it.
Yep.
And it went from like me doing everything manual to I click a button, I go back through, I listen to it at 2.5x speed just to make sure there's nothing crazy in there, and then I submit it. So it's so much quicker now just in that little bit of time. So I think if it can be used properly, it can help enhance, but only time will tell on how
And
that falls
used
out.
properly in the sense of it actually makes podcasting enjoyable for you.
Yeah.
Again, it removes the part that we would pay somebody to leverage out. The things you don't in a business, the things you don't enjoy doing are the things that ideally you should leverage out.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. But now we have, we can pay pennies on the
on
dollar
the dollar.
The thing that I
compared.
was thinking about too when I was doing it, so when I first got started, we could have paid someone to just go ahead and do it, but I just really wanted to know how like the ins and outs worked. And then it got to the point like, okay, I know this good enough. Maybe I should hire it out. And then I'm like, oh, you can go on like Fiverr or something and hire it out to someone in Bangladesh for a few bucks. And I was like, okay, I'll do that a few times. And then AI got so good, I was like, I can do it even cheaper and quicker than it does for me to actually upload it to Fiverr and tell the person what I want done to it. It's quicker for me to put it through AI and cheaper. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's like now this guy in Bangladesh just lost a job in America too.
Yeah.
Like it's insane.
So, before we leave the AI conversation, two things. One, I love one of my favorite Southern fast food joints, Bojangles, has
Yes.
introduced an AI when you order food, and it has hurt my soul.
I thought they ripped it out. Was that not them? Is that somebody else? They put it in
No.
and like a week later ripped it out?
I think that was Burger King or something.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
no, it's still there
Oh,
because
man.
we pull up and it just says, you can tell it's not a person, and ask, and you have to, if you say it wrong, then the person who's actually listening has to go back behind. And I was like, just
So
like-
there's still a person standing there.
Yeah.
What was the point?
But I think the balance, so like there's two things to this is one, the cost of life is just way too expensive. And so people aren't doing the lower paying jobs, or quote unquote lower paying jobs. So then that's why AI is being introduced into these places. And if there's no way it'll actually happen, but if we could bring the cost of living down, then people would go back, and you could have teenagers doing these jobs, or people growing up and be like, oh, this is what it means to be a manager. Well, I'd like to do that, but maybe not in a restaurant. I want to shift to something else. But everyone's jumping that. All they're seeing, like I said, everything is online. They're like, oh, so-and-so is driving around and he has this $100,000 car and he's only 14. I'm like, what? Yeah, probably because he started a YouTube channel when
Literally.
he was 7.
Look, this
Like,
is an evolution. I will agree with you completely. This is like a little bit of an evolution where our 14, 15, 16-year-olds, where they were learning life skills working in a restaurant,
Yep.
you know, but now it's becoming an entrepreneurial journey where they're learning how to make money online. And that is the shift. It's kind of a futile effort, in my opinion, to fight it.
yeah.
It's just going to happen.
I think there's a really big thing that's missing in a lot of people's minds, though, especially a teenager that hasn't really experienced the world. There's some people like a Mr. Beast that started this 15 years ago. They don't see the 10 years prior to the last 5. He grinded and grinded and grinded and grinded, and he was putting out videos every single week with no one watching him.
Yep.
How long is that 14-year-old going to put out a video every single week? Because it's not easy to do, and it takes a lot of
Before they
time.
give up?
Before they're like, screw this.
Yeah.
Then you
I
see
mean-
them at McDonald's.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
we-
then they're at McDonald's going,
Yeah.
why am I not making $80,000 yet?
Yeah.
And it's like, this YouTuber just puts up a video a month, and he's making $100,000 a month. Why am I not making that? I deserve that. I do more than what he's doing.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, but after you divide out all of the time of 0 views for 10 years, not making more than $100 a month,
Yeah.
who made out for those 10 years? It's
Yeah.
the one who put in the time and effort.
How old
for
is
sure.
Amazon? It's like more than 40 years old, am I
no,
right?
it's
No.
not.
Amazon is
Amazon is only like
Amazon's-
20 years old.
but
25 max.
okay. I heard
It came out like right after. We are all older than Google, and Amazon came
Yeah.
out. The online version came out after Google.
Okay. I heard a statistic somewhere where there's like 20 years that we had never really heard about Amazon, that it existed before we know it as it is today. And then just
There's-
the length of time and how much work actually goes in behind the scenes before we see the gratification that comes from all that hard work.
It's right at 30 years. It
You're gonna
came
look it
out
up? Yeah.
July 5th, 1994.
30.
That's why they do
Yeah.
Amazon days every July.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. I just never.
That's coming up, the 16th.
Yeah. 'Cause
Yes.
they, I think it was like
Thank you.
5 or 6 years that they were public before they went public.
Yeah.
Because after I started thinking about it, it's like, I think they went public in 99.
Mm.
And that's how I know businesses, just because the world that I'm in is like, I only know when businesses went public. I don't know what they did before
Sure.
that.
Yeah.
But he also didn't bootstrap his way in. He got money from other people. Whereas, like, me and
lot of-
Tyler
yeah.
over here are like, hey, we saved up money. We spent a
You
lot
bought
of-
one piece of equipment at a time. I
Pretty
know
much, yeah.
when you
Yeah,
started.
You're episode. Actually, you were the very first person we interviewed. You were
Yes.
episode number
Number
2
2.
that came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, you got
I
to see all of the
remember.
little pieces. We had 0 of any of this.
yeah.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of editing that went into that episode too. I remember some of the things that were said that were, I'm like, that wasn't in the podcast.
Right.
And I forget
talked a long
those
time,
too.
too.
Like us sitting here, it's like, hey, it's been 2 years. People are like, oh, you're doing, like, how well is the podcast doing? And I'm like, I think we're doing great. Like we have a group of people that listen to us religiously, and we're making connections in the community. But it's been a steady grind for 2 years. It wasn't like there are some people who are like, hey, I started this for a while and I jumped in and I started a podcast, where our podcast is amazing and we have all these views. And I'm like, yeah, but we also have full-time jobs. We have families.
That you have to keep.
Yes.
Right.
So, gentle reminder for people who are at home and wondering, 2 years in, can I ask some real questions about the business of podcasting? I mean,
Sure. Ours is different than most, but
Yes.
sure. Yeah.
I mean, okay, so in 2 years, it would be hard, easy, middle of the, on a scale of 1 to 10 to monetize a podcast after 2 years when you've been consistently, how many episodes do you have now?
it's around 130-ish.
Yeah.
Amazing. To monetize a podcast on a scale of 1 to 10, how hard is it?
So I would say it is technically easy to monetize with the amount that we have behind us, but it also depends on what you're willing to give up. Because with everything in the world, like when you're getting money, sorry, I'm getting real political. If you're getting money from somebody's paying you for something. And we could make more money if we put in more ads in the middle of the episodes, or we took ad breaks and we did all this other stuff. But we want our ads to make sense for
Well, the
us.
opportunity is there.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you wanted it.
Yeah. Yeah, we probably could have started it maybe around a year and a half. We could have started pushing ads a little bit more. And we kind of looked into it, and then the trade-off for it just wasn't there, because you want to see return on investment, of course, and you want to give a good value. So we could do it and okay, what's an extra couple $100 when we both have full-time jobs, when we could have this be ad-free and this works better for networking for us.
Sure.
And more people want to listen to it. And also when you look at it, you see people skip through the ads anyway. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do.
I had a
I'm
friend ask
guilty.
me that.
same.
She was literally like, your podcast is doing really great. Why don't you guys have ads in there? I was like, well, we prefer not. If someone was like, hey, we'll give you, a nice chunk of change that could upgrade what we have, then we'll look into it. And we're always looking at, we look at ads, and you'll notice we'll have them in if it makes sense for us. If it's somebody who's local, or someone that we think would benefit from being on the podcast, or we would benefit from working with them.
Yeah. So there's two things I want to kind of follow up on with that too. So one, ideally for us, that would make the most sense is if someone just sponsored the whole podcast.
Yep.
So it'd be Whiskey and Wisdom presented by X, Y, or Z.
Yep.
That would make the most sense for us. We have one sponsor that's upfront. It's them that's putting the money behind the podcast, and we run it. That'd make the most sense and be easiest for us. However, on the second side of that, you have to go out and find those people. I'm already going out finding my own clients and my own prospects for my actual job here. So to take that time and effort for something that I can make significantly more, it's the opportunity cost.
Yep.
And being able to sit down, and we have enough people now that I could reach out to pretty much anyone in almost North Carolina and say, hey, come on the podcast, and they'll come on. So the value of that network right there is significantly higher than what an ad would be for me.
Yep, absolutely. I can relate to that on some level where the prints, the art prints that I have
Yes.
that are in Sundial.
Yeah.
I have
Love
so
that
much.
artwork.
First off, I have so much fun with that. Second, I get to sit in the coffee shop and I can see people walking by looking at them, which gives me just a sense of fulfillment
Right.
with that. But when somebody takes one home, I actually don't really make hardly any money on them. I've got them priced as such so that when somebody's visiting Topsail, for their family vacation, they don't want to spend $1,200 on a piece of art to take home. It's very affordable for them to take home. I don't make any money, but they've picked up something along the way, whether it be one of my, cards there, a piece of artwork or something that maybe when they book next year, they're booking a session with me for a family session, or maybe they're passing it off to a local business because that's what I specialize in.
Right.
But that would be my form of podcasting,
Yep.
Yeah.
where I don't need for it to make money because the payoff then indirectly is just so much more. And the people
yeah.
that I'm meeting, like when I meet an entire family and their extended family, and so and so's, uncle owns such business in Surf City, like that is the beauty of the network and the community that I get to just be a big part of. And that side of it just doesn't make all that much money, and that's fine with me.
Yeah.
I can relate.
It's also kind of cool too. Like, it's also kind of annoying in certain parts, but like you walk into a place and it's a podcast, so like I don't know how many people are actually watching, and you walk in like, oh hey Tyler, I've watched your podcast. And I'm like, I don't know who you
Who
are.
are you? Yeah.
And then like you get to meet that person and it's really neat. So you're sitting down and they already have this like connection with you,
Yes.
just because they've listened so many times. And it's even more like crazy to me. I think it's because we have our names on Instagram and you can click on it and go straight to us. But like a lot of the stuff, if you go to our Instagram, you won't see our face, like except for once every 30 posts.
Yeah.
So you rarely see us on there.
That's funny.
Yeah, that has happened. Like we've gone, like me and Emily will go get food. And I'm like, oh, hey, cool. Let's ordered food. Walk up and like, oh, hey, Chris, here's your order. And I'm like, do I know you?
Right.
What did I order?
Yeah.
And
That's
it's
okay.
and it's not like they're giving us anything free. It's just the connection
Yeah.
of like, hey, here's your order. Like they know you. It's like, this is a really old reference, but in Cheers, you go to the same place and people know you, but we don't have to go to the same place because of like making those connections.
That's so cool. And it's totally an okay thing.
Oh yeah. I love it when people do that.
Yeah. You're doing something right. And you're impacting people, and they know too. So if they don't blame you for not knowing who they are.
Okay, yeah.
It's no big
Right,
it is
yeah.
no big deal. They're like, he doesn't know who I am, but
No.
I'm gonna say hi anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. I speaking of kind of opportunity cost a little bit too. You guys just made this big change, a shift in the style of or the calendar of events for your podcast.
Yes.
Where you were going from how many times or how many podcasts per week? One a week, two a week?
It was one. We started doing like a mini episode for a while, then we started pulling back on that.
One, y'all were getting a little tipsy every
Yeah.
every time. But
We had to
also
learn.
the amount of time that you're spending away from your family, I
Yeah.
have to imagine the amount of time you're spending away from work, the time that it takes to edit, to be just involved with that. So was that the catalyst that made you shift to this? What's different, and what was the motivating factor to make this change?
I think we get bored easy.
Me too.
And
That's
I
why
think
we're friends.
right.
Me too. Yeah.
And so at first we were just kind of like doing it in a different location where we did ours, and then we did it at Chris's house for a couple episodes, and then we moved to
didn't
the
know that.
studio, and we did the studio for
and a half?
almost the 2 years. Yeah, about
Was
a
it
year and a
2?
half,
Okay.
but it's been almost two different types of studios.
Yeah.
If you look at it, there's almost like version 1 of the studio and version 2 of the studio. And we're like, okay, this is fun. It was getting kind of stale. We were actually seeing numbers drop off a little bit. And I was like, maybe we need to change this up a little bit. A lot of people always ask us to do events and like, oh, hey, you have all this whiskey, you have this influence. We want to bring all of that together. Like, how can you do that? And I know the owner of Azalea Station in Alcove really well. And he'd always been saying, let's do something. We have a perfect spot for a podcast. Let us know what you want to do. And I was sitting down talking with him a few months ago. And I was like, you know what? You have a bar. We have a whiskey podcast. Why are we just not doing that?
Yep.
Right.
And he was like, I was kind of thinking that too. And so we're like, all right, makes sense. The other part of it, if you know this or not, running a studio is a lot of work because we were also renting it out.
Yep.
So after we completely got rid of that, I think Chris also agrees. It opened up so much extra time for both of us. Because I was just thinking about it coming here. I'm like, oh, I don't come to this side of town much anymore.
You
I
mean
used to.
AI wasn't the perfect scheduler for you?
Gosh.
Well,
Well-
if AI could find me the clients and book it and get them into the studio and teach them how to do it all,
Yeah.
then yeah, that was a very like
Yeah, it'll take you
demanding.
6 months to set up that sales funnel. So
Right.
As a, like you joked, so like we shuttered the studio space, one because it freed up a lot of our bandwidth to expand our other opportunities, but we would love to reopen the studio at some point. So when Topsail actually gets a full bypass around Topsail High School, and I can come from my house and get to Topsail in less than an hour, I've already picked out the spot I want to set the studio up in. but that's when we can gross a little bit of money.
We would love to have you.
And if you can find us a management team, so we don't have to drive up there every single day.
Yes.
Okay. This is the second branch.
Right.
Hey, I mean, you only need one person,
Yeah.
so we got ideas.
Yeah.
It'll be in about 12 years.
12 years.
That's when your daughter will be old enough to walk.
To
I was gonna
run
say,
it.
yeah. Her first job.
Yes, I'm going to raise her to love community and to be social, to know how to talk to people. I was in Publix the other day, and you know how we have,
Yeah.
when you're in Publix, you have somebody checking you out and somebody bagging you, and they're always offering to help you take your things out. They're asking how your day was. I love Publix just because the feeling when you're in and out, it's a really good feeling. But the cashier was very social, and the guy that was bagging our stuff was very quiet. And I tried to, chit chat.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe like, I'm gonna guess 15,
Yeah.
maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "How's your day go?" And like, head down, bagging, very like to the
Yeah.
task. And but the kid that was checking us out was like, "What are y'all doing for the 4th?" Like, was just wanting to know all about our lives. And I'm sure that's how they coach and train them.
Right.
But the difference in the same age and how different their personalities and their communication styles can be. Like when it comes to my little girl, I want her to know how to talk to people. And I want her to know, like, if she has to get involved with a business or, go out on her own and do something, like she can hold her own. It's really important to me. You have kids too. Is that something that you're like going to drive home for them?
Oh yeah, I think we are already to a certain extent. Like my daughter is a little over 2 now. She can talk relatively well, and if we try to like order for her or do anything for her, she can't speak well, but she'll always go, "My do it, my do it."
Oh, good for her.
And so like if we try to say something like answer on her behalf, she goes, "No, my do it," and I'm like, "All right, Ashley,
Okay, go
you
ahead.
give
You're
it
like,
give it a
"Have at
shot."
it, have at it.
They won't be able to understand 2 words that you say, but hey, yeah, I'll let you go at it first.
Good for her.
Yeah.
I love that.
And then my son just waves and says hi to every single human being that he walks by.
Yep.
So yeah, they're both already very social. I was like, anyone ever taught you stranger danger yet?
Danger. Yeah. It's still a real
That's
thing.
I blame you guys
What?
for not being adamant about stranger danger. Teaching these
We
kids
try, they
how
don't
to
care.
be lock key children. And go home. Don't open the door, no matter
Oh,
what.
he'll learn that. I don't open the door for anyone.
Yeah, Morgan, we're again in the grocery store, and I hear her go, "See ya, bye." She's almost 18 months old, and she's yelling down the aisle, "See ya, bye," to like people we don't know, waving, "See ya, see ya." I'm like, okay, go. I already know what kind of personality she's gonna
Yeah.
be.
That's me at work.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly what you
I
do.
still have people. I've been there for years, and I've worked with people for years, and they're still like, "Chris, you know them?" I'm like,
That was me.
I
with
know
you. Look,
all the time.
people would walk in that I didn't know, you didn't know,
Nope.
and I see him across the store, and he's waving at the front door, "Hey y'all," and I'm like, "Oh, he knows them. We're good." And you and I would be like doing something else, and they're like,
And then they're just talking a little bit, and we just look at each other. And
I'm like, I don't
You
think he
listen
knows them. They need help.
so. But that's another thing I learned in all the things that I've done growing up is like I worked at a movie theater, so you have to be cordial with everybody. And then I moved to a retail space. Like I worked at Bath and Body Works for like 4 years, I guess.
I forgot about
And
that.
but one of the things they teach you is 1, to greet everybody, and 2, as a place that has a lot of shoplifting, if you greet and make contact with people, there's a less likelihood of them trying to steal something because they know that you know they're there.
I also think you're selling yourself slightly short, though, because I mean, Brittany and I have been taught that the whole entire time too, but we can't do it the way that you do it.
Oh,
There's something about the way that you say hi to them makes it sound like you've been friends for years.
It's his like smile, and you
thank
like you have like these open arms. You just are very approachable. Yeah.
It's like the light that like you would see when you see your best friend walk in through a door. Like you get that for every single person that walks in.
They're like, "Hey, what's up?" They're like, "Yeah, I literally don't know who that is."
It's fine.
We'll do it when we leave here. We'll walk.
I want to
down
know
the
how she
street.
feels about that.
Oh, Emily, she hates it. I'm
Your
sure.
wife and your mom.
About me just saying hey to everybody. Yeah.
She says she's not that person. Yeah. Do you love that when you're in like a group environment, he can carry the conversation and you can kind of like, yeah. She says she hides in the background. Yeah. Yeah. That sounds like my husband, actually. He's like, I would much rather you just do the talking and me hang out. He's a people watcher.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But he wants me to do the talking. It's fine. Yeah. Catch
See,
me on a
that's-
bad day, and that's like, don't talk to me.
Yeah,
But
leave.
on most days, I'm okay.
That's why we all get together and then we can talk to the people and then our families can sit in the back and be like, okay, cool, I see that.
Yeah. And then I'm like, did you have a good time? And they're like, yeah, it was a good time. And I'm like, you look bored. I don't know how to tell if you had a good time or not.
Yeah. I always have a good time,
Yeah.
even
Well.
if I'm not.
Even if you're not. You force yourself.
You can always find an opportunity to talk or have a good time or learn
Yes.
something about someone.
Well, so speaking of like social environments, I have been curious because things have changed. We've matured. We have kids now. Wife.
Y'all have kids now.
Yeah. Yeah. Family.
Yes.
What do, and I have to imagine that this has changed over the years, which is why I bring it up. What are you looking for in a really good quality friend?
I think for me, someone who understands the type of growth that I'm looking for. I think that's probably the biggest thing. Because there's so many people that are like, hey, I'm fine with where I'm at. I'm like, okay, and that's fine. We can be friends. However, like, I don't want you trying to hold me back from trying to pursue other things. Because there's been instances where I've known people and I've been hanging around people and they're like, well, why would you even do that? You don't have to do that. Yeah, sure, I don't have to. I don't have to do 75 hard every single year either, but I feel better afterwards. It was like, so that's why I do it every single year. And so that's a very minute version of basically all of the larger goals and aspirations that me and my family have, but just that same kind of mentality.
So I really don't make new friends like the old
That is
song.
so hard to believe.
No, like the song says, make new friends but keep the old. One is silver, the other's gold. Because I work so much, my mindset is about like maintaining my current relationships, and I feel like I was at a point in my life where I quote unquote had so many friends. I was like, oh, blah blah, blah, and they weren't all moving forward. And I realized, like, all right, so you got to say bon voyage to some people and just realize, like, if they're not going to grow, like you said, like, if they're not willing to make a growth after, like, some suggestions, then, like, I don't need them around. Like, I need someone in my life who's going to support me and want to see growth. And sometimes you have friends who are like, oh, hey, why are you doing that? I was like, I don't know. One, it's the right thing to do. And two, like, I have goals in life, not to just sit here flipping burgers for the rest of my life. Like, if someone's not going to want to grow with you or have a change, you're like, oh, I've been here for, 7 years. Why are you in the same position? Why haven't you moved up? Time to step away.
It's like growing.
Yeah.
And I think like the way that we've gone, how long has it been now? Over 5 years since I've left the jewelry store. But even then, like there's times that we won't talk to each other for months, and it's because that one of us or the other or both of us are like strictly focused on trying to grow one aspect of something.
Yeah.
And it's not that I'm just ignoring you or I'm just ignoring you. I'm ignoring everyone during that time. Like I need to get this done. So like I have an exam for a certification that I need to get. And it's one of the hardest certifications you can get in my industry. So I've basically blocked out anyone. So if you're listening to this right now and I haven't responded back to your text messages, that's why. I'm sorry. I'll get back to you in 2
It ain't
weeks.
personal.
Yeah.
Right.
Because like
Right.
there's times that I'll look at my phone and be like, okay, nothing's on fire, like exit. And then
I will
just keep
never
on
hold it
going.
against you.
Yeah.
Ever.
See-
Don't worry about me.
I'm just ADD. Like, I'll look at my phone and be like, oh, unless it's like my owners hit me up or like not my actual owner.
I was gonna say
I'm
that
a
was not a
free
good
man,
way
just so you know.
to word that.
Minus my wife. There's only like 3 people that like if I see a text I respond, but usually like I'll see it and then I'll put my phone down. And especially like, and I feel bad about it because like I'll get messages from friends and family during the workday and I'll see it and I'll just swipe through, and then it'll click and I'm like, oh, I didn't respond to that like 6 hours ago.
Especially you two, I respond in my head a lot.
Yeah. It's okay.
Yes.
I'm like,
But
ah.
those are the best friends, are the ones that you can pick up a week later and be like, yo, sorry, not sorry.
Oh,
and you
yeah.
pick up right where you left off.
Yep.
I love those people.
I have two friends that I've kept around for like, I say kept around, they've kept me around for years now. And it's the same way. It's like, hey, when we see each other, we catch up, and we're always supporting each other's growth. Like whether or not it's from associate to manager or moving into like an entrepreneurship or changing businesses, like we always support each other. And when we click in each other's heads, like, oh, hey, I thought about you, we reach out. But it's never like, oh, she hasn't talked to me or he hasn't hit me up in like 6 months, I'm going to forget about him. Like there's some people, yeah, sure, if they haven't said anything, I'm gone. And then there's like 2 or 3 where I'm like, no, they're probably on their grind.
And I would challenge everybody, like, just take a moment. Everybody sitting at home. If you haven't talked to somebody in a long time, like, there is no harm. Just pick up your phone and send a quick text that says, I thought about you.
Unless it's an ex.
Don't do that.
I got to put caveats.
Don't do that. Don't do that unless there's an important factor there, or you're trying to reignite that flame.
Don't.
For us sitting
He
here,
said
probably
no.
not a good idea.
He said hard no. But maybe just say that. And it doesn't have to be anything more. There's no reason. Just say, I happen to think about you. Wanted to send a text. Send. Done.
Yep.
That's what almost the most successful people in my life, all of the coaches that I've had over the past 5-6 years, every single morning when they wake up, there's like the first 3 people that pop into their mind, like when they're going through their day, because it's so automated that they just do everything. There's things popping in their head. If that person comes into their head, they stop, they text that person, hey, was thinking about you today, hope you're doing well. Boom, send. It's like there has to be a reason why the most successful people that I know are doing that versus the people that don't. Like there has to be something there.
Yeah. Everything in your brain is a muscle. So every activity that you have is a muscle. Like practicing gratefulness is a muscle. So it's I guess the best way I've heard it phrased, it's like a highway. And you strengthen that highway, it becomes stronger every time you practice something like that. So practicing generosity, and reaching out to people and forming those connections with people, it's something that you have to practice every day so that it becomes that kind of habit. It's important.
Yeah.
The one thing that I've always thought about too, and this starts getting kind of morbid, but like anytime I see a news article about someone who committed suicide, I always think to myself, I wonder if every single time that someone had thought about him, if they would have texted him and said, hey, just thinking about you, would that person have committed suicide? And like, then I go on like a rampage of like sending things out to people and stuff anytime I see something that reminds
Good on
me
you.
of that. Just because like there's someone in my high school, I was never really good friends, so I was acquaintances with him, but I knew a lot of people really liked him in school, and he took his life. This was years ago, but it always made me think about that. I was like, I know people were thinking about him.
I mean, bad days build better days.
Yep.
Wow.
That wasn't from me.
Casey
That was
Fit
Oh, I
Cakes.
like
yes.
it.
Casey Fit Cake. She was on our podcast.
Yeah.
She has a podcast called that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So shout out Casey.
Tell me, I've got 2 more questions.
All right, let's
Do
go.
I have enough time for that?
Yeah, about 3 minutes.
3 minutes? Okay, well, let me jump to the
one.
last one
Let's
then.
go.
I want to know what your, I know Chris has a big pipeline dream. This is getting personal. Like let's start with Chris. Like what's the thing that you're like, down the road, I really want this in my life? I thought I knew the answer, but maybe I don't.
Well, no, there's a few things. I always adjust based on realistic thoughts and processes. So I still would love to open a bar and just like chill, spot friends can come hang out. No, you're not all getting free drinks, but you have a place to come that's safe. Everything.
Friends, support your friends' businesses.
Yes.
Gosh, do not expect stuff for free. Don't expect pay. If they're your real friend, pay them what they're worth. What?
No.
Pay your friends. Let me just throw that in there. It's very
If you're not
important.
asking for a discount at Target, don't ask me for a discount.
Right. Thank you. Keep going.
But
I love
do
that.
ask for discounts.
At Target?
Yeah, that's why they have a Target Circle app. I wish you could do
know
that
that.
in North Carolina. If I spent enough alcohol or spent enough anywhere, no matter what, like I could get rewards points and put that towards something. Like anywhere, jewelry store, at a bar, at a bookstore. Like I think that'd be super cool. But still, I think it'd be kind of awesome if I did.
I was waiting for it. I'm like, isn't that what a credit card does? Kind of.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah, kind of.
reward points.
Keep
but
going.
I still got to
going.
pay the credit card back. And
Back to the bar.
but I'd like to open a bar. or do a bookstore coffee bar thingy.
Ooh.
I already have plans in my head. Actually, they're written down somewhere too. So it's just the next step.
All right, we all got to jump behind Chris and
But it'll cost a lot of money, and I know how much bookstores make, and it's not that much. So
Not
support your
bookstores that have
local.
alcohol. That's how you make all the money.
You have to support your local bookstore also.
yeah,
I'm just saying.
yeah. That's an
Shout out.
environment that's fading away, and
Shout out Paper
Yeah.
Cut Books.
we will miss
downtown.
we will miss bookstores when they're gone.
Oh yeah.
You can
Other
come
than
to my
Amazon.
house.
What about you? You doing big things right now.
Yeah.
What's the like pipeline dream?
Probably not the answer you're looking for, but freedom. Because
Yeah.
right now there's so much grind that goes into kind of building what I want to foresee myself doing in the future. And it's basically to get the freedom. So there was actually a quote from Alex Hormozy. I'm going to absolutely butcher it, but basically the essence of it was like, let's normalize working your ass off for the first like 10 years of your life so you can have the freedom of to do what you want when you want to get there. Because you're not just going to get there by trying to do something a couple times and be like, okay, I want to go and do this next thing. It's putting in the effort we talked about before, putting in the grind year after year and getting that kind of trade-off there. But yeah, on the finance side is having we're actually going independent next year, so that's a big thing for us. So that's something we're working towards. The certifications and be a big part of that. So I need to get that done. But with all that being said, there's actually a way that someone built out their financial services company where they're really only working 6 months out of the year. And it's just the way that they have it tailored and built in. And so my undergrad is an ops. So like being able to see that and knowing how I can put those pieces into place. So over the next 5-7 years, I know I can put those things in place to have that freedom. So that's what I'm working towards right now.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Along with other side projects.
Yeah, the side project. That's just the fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
So many side projects.
I've really tailored down my side projects.
Yeah, yeah. We got one we got to talk about.
So it's literally at the podcast, which basically runs itself. We come here like one Sunday a month, my main job,
This
and
is
then the
great.
thing that we're doing.
This is so good. Can you do it on a Friday night when like the bar is full and there's like hustle? It's like, be cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So
Hey,
there's a food court that's opening up right out these windows, and that's going to make a lot more buzz coming in here.
That's fun.
That's
Yeah.
part of the reason why it's slower right now is because there's construction and it's not like an easy walkway.
Right.
But once that's done, I feel like we'll be good.
And that's kind of what we talked to Billy about too. It's like, hey, let's do this before that opens over there so we can kind of get our ducks in a row. We've already changed the setup twice out of the 2 times that we've done this already. So I think we're kind of really tailoring it in. So it'd be real seamless by the time the food court's open.
That's exciting. I love everything that y'all are doing.
Thank you.
Yes.
You as well.
Big deal. Thank you. We're friends. We'll
Thank
keep
you.
being
Yeah,
friends.
We'll keep on
Yes.
going.
Okay. Well,
So
thank
where
you
can
for having me.
people follow you on social? I know you did some changes.
Yeah, and everything's always constantly changing and morphing and all of that. But my photography business just got a big rebrand where I'm like going pretty hard into taking care of small business branding. So my Instagram is Lineberry Photography Co. My website's Lineberry Photography Co. That's where I'm putting a lot of my weight right now and energy, helping businesses strategize, figure out, I partner with marketing agencies, web designers. I just partner with the most beautiful local people that you can get your hands dirty with to grow your business, whether you're launching something new or rebranding, help with the imagery. So either of those 2 places, you can get in touch with me and we can grow together.
Yeah.
Thank y'all for letting me chat with you and learn more about you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
It's fun being on the other side of the questions this time.
Yeah, you needed it. I think everybody needed that from you.
We get asked that from time to time, and I was like, yeah, maybe. And then when you offered it up, and I was like, okay, this is the person that can
Offered
actually.
3 times.
Yeah, it's been a few months.
It's good. I'm glad we did it.
You're a busy lady. That's what we're
I
going to
can
blame it
be.
on.
We'll blame it on. I'll take the blame. It's fine. All right,
Well,
y'all. Thank you.
Thank you guys for listening to the episode. Thanks for showing up. Do you like your drinks? Yep, they're all
She's
finished.
like, yes.
So
They're all empty, so that is good.
for those
assessment.
who don't realize, we do it. This
Do.
we record live first Sunday of every month at Azalea Station right now. We'll have a bartender present in case you guys want some drinks, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Cheers.
Peace.